everyone watching, in case you didn't realize it, that most of what goes on these videos is my experience, my opinions. For some who want to say, you're wrong, you're wrong. Well, you didn't have my experience, so maybe you don't have my opinion. But all I can do is share my experience with people that are looking for information. And I don't dance around the truth. I don't paint this as the most wonderful place on earth. But obviously, I love it here or I wouldn't be here. Having been to 18 different countries and lived in 3 outside of the United States, I have a good basis for comparison. And when I decided I wanted to choose a country where hopefully I could just settle down and not move again, I took over a year in deciding, and I chose Ecuador. So I'm not an Ecuador hater, I love the place, but I don't need to justify me being here by telling a bunch of lies about it. And a lot of people do, so be careful of that. In any case, this is my opinion. Today, I want to talk about conversations about where is better to live, the coast or the mountains. Well, I chose the mountains. In the past, I've lived in the tropic. It's wonderful, it's beautiful. I happen to hate muggy weather, and I don't like to be hot all the time. You know, I'd rather be a little colder than hot, because at night when you're trying to sleep, you can always throw a blanket on, but you can only take off so many blankets and still be hot. So, I mean, for me, it can be uncomfortable. The hottest place I ever lived for a while, was only for about a month, was in the Philippines. It was unbearably hot. I will say that close to the time when I was leaving, I started to get used to it. You know, so people live there, they get used to it. I just prefer not to. Now, on the coast, the southern coast, from the border up through Guayaquil, here is essentially a desert zone. It's very dry. There's some lushness to it, but it's not the look of the tropical paradise that you may have in mind. That begins, you know, maybe around Salinas area. Guayaquil is a very hot city, very muggy. When you get to Salinas, that's kind of a unique area, and one reason why it's popular. Beautiful beaches, but it has almost a perpetual breeze. And the temperature is a little bit cooler than other areas of the coast. So it's going to be a little more comfortable to be there with the breeze, less of a mosquito issue. So that's a nice area, but it's also a tourist area, which means prices are higher, more crime. And I'll tell you, on the coast, there's a fair amount of crime. Most of the crime that occurs in the country occurs on the coast or in Quito. And as you go north, Esmeraldas, from what I'm told, I haven't been there, there's a lot of crime there. And some of the crime that comes to Cuenca comes from the people on the coast that hear that Cuenca is a rich city, or they know that there's more money, more possessions, and so where are you going to go if you're going to be a robber, a pickpocket, that sort of thing. Then pause for the dogs. So I think the people that want to go to the coast, they're imagining, you know, laying on the beach and drinking your Corona beer like in that commercial. Life is just beautiful, paradise all the time, and that sort of thing. And there's some truth to that. I've lived like that. I will say, for me, that gets boring. And for me, it's just not enough. So a great place to visit, a nice place for vacation, but I don't like the issues that go with it. If I were going to live in a place like that, you know, maybe I'll go to San Diego or somewhere in Florida or something like that. That can be had in so many places in this world. Now, the mountains, it's a different story. Now, I'm not going to speak to Quito. While I've been to Quito, I know the Cuenca area, to Loja, to Vilcabamba. I've traveled all over the place here. I love it here. I love the climate. Now, contrary to what some people will tell you, it's not the same temperature every day year-round. It's not true. There's a variation of temperature. It probably goes from 55 to 60 degrees to 80 degrees. For me, it's great. The houses here don't need air conditioning and they don't need heat. Now, some people get real portable heaters. Some nights can get chilly. For me, I'm used to it. I'm from upstate New York. We're basically Eskimos from birth, but for some people they're cold. My local friend, she's always freezing. She can't bundle up enough. And so she'll come in to visit and she'll be bundled with a wool hat and a winter coat. And an hour after she gets here, the sun's out and it's up to 78 degrees and she's dying. That's the way it is. So if you like that, it's great. I love the fact that mosquitoes don't live above 5,000 feet and I'm at 7,200 feet or something like that. I'm above 5,000 feet and I don't see mosquitoes. Now I realize that every once in a while you'll see one. I think in the past year I might have seen 2 mosquitoes. I don't know what happens, how they get up here blown by the wind or something. So no mosquitoes, few bugs. There's some, but not too many. It's a very moderate temperature on the cool side. If you're a person who's cold a lot, you might not be comfortable here. It's cool pretty often. Although it can be surprising, you have to be careful of the sun. When you're out in the sun here, it will burn the skin off your body. It's a direct sunlight that you don't get in North America, and it can be fierce. And cancer can be a problem, so you want to be careful, make sure you cover up. Local people here, you'll see them drape their head with whatever they have. If they don't have a hat, they're going to put on a blanket over their head. You know, aren't you hot? Don't you? They're protecting from the sun, and that's a smart thing to do. Cultures. On the coast, people there are more open, more outspoken, more liberated in certain ways, like sexually liberated. It's closer to attitudes that you'll find in North America. When you get into the mountains, it's a very different thing. They're kind of an isolated people by choice. If you're from Cuenca, yeah, you're from Ecuador, but if you're from Cuenca, you're from Cuenca. And you're in competition with people from Loja. And the people in Loja are just not good enough compared to people in Cuenca. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's that kind of attitude, very territorial, and have a pride about where they're from. When you go from town to city to town to town in the mountains, you'll see things like headwear are different wherever you go, a different style, different color. And almost like a military thing, everybody in this particular area wears headgear that's basically the same thing. But you go 30 miles down the road to a different town and it's something else. There's a lot of identifying things like hats and the clothes they wear from area to area, which makes it very interesting. They're very honest people here. This gets touchy. so the coast is not honest. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying you're more likely to run into people who their handshake is not their bond on the coast. Where in the mountains, their word is their word and you can count on it. Again, not in every case, there's rip-offs everywhere and that sort of thing, but again, this is a generalization. I find people in the mountains to be very trustworthy, except with time. You know, if you're gonna, I'll be here tomorrow at 10 o'clock, well, maybe it'll be day after tomorrow at 1 in the afternoon, but that's a different thing, different topic. I covered some of that already. So if you're going to choose the coast, if you're going to choose the mountains, it really is a personal preference. My suggestion would be to come here and spend a month in each before you decide to settle down. And that's doable because short-term hostels, hotels are very reasonable, not much more than if you were paying rent, sometimes even less, that will allow you to do that. And I would strongly suggest, if you're not sure, to do that, because you're going to find that your picture of what your fantasy says it is, the reality will be different. And if you're planning on living here, then you can avoid making a big mistake and having to uproot yourself and all your household goods to go somewhere else. So that's my suggestion for today. See ya.
You know you could.